Another question was, how will the federal government react to new taxes and regulations at the state level? Well, I think we can safely say not well, but I don't care. The federal government cannot reach our initiative because it's preemption proof. They could attempt to come in and strike down whatever rules and regulations the legislature puts together, but that would be kind of silly, and it wouldn't be politically feasible for them to do that, would it? Think about it. The federal government says this substance is so dangerous it shouldn't even be legal, but then when it's made legal and it's regulated, they come in and say, wait a minute, we're going to take away the regulations. It'd be political suicide. They couldn't do it during Prohibition. They can't do it now. You got them in the box. It's the two-step box. First you repeal, then you regulate. They can't strike them down that way. If you do it all in one bill, like Mary Lou Dickerson's bill does, you're at very high risk of having the whole thing wiped out under preemption doctrine, under supremacy clause. That, unless you've got savings clauses that the court finds would work, your repeal won't be accomplished. That's why we're doing it this way. It's the same way they did it during Prohibition, and it's a proven method, and it works. The federal government really doesn't have a choice. You pretty much put them in a box, and they pretty much have to deal with it. There are also various constitutional doctrines that we would have to go to court and litigate, the federal government leaving the state alone. It's possible they wouldn't even be able to enforce their federal law in such a way that stepped on a state law experiment. These are the underpinnings of federalism. This is the very constitutional bones, the skeleton of our country is what's involved here. This is states' rights. This is the ability of a state to go out and make decisions differently from the federal government that may move the whole country forward. This was part of the genius of the Federalist system. That's clear when you read the Federalist Papers what they intended on this. And this is what they intended. What we're doing is what the Federalists foresaw would be necessary to do at points in history if you're going to move the country forward. The states have to be able to act as experimental laboratories for the whole country. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what the 14 or 15 medical marijuana states are doing right now. Another question was, what prevents marijuana-friendly politicians who have added amendments to the current medical marijuana bill from adding torturous regulations after we pass the initiative? What prevents them is you. The same thing that prevents them from doing anything stupid is you. You put pressure on them. You go down to the legislature after we repeal and you say, no, you're not going to do it that way. And you talk to your rep. The minute we repeal, you start emailing your rep saying, we want this, we want that, we want it to be free, don't goof around. I think if we repeal, they're going to get the message and they're going to come to the table with sensible regulations. Some of them won't, and that's fine. They'll run afoul of the initiative. Their regs can be struck down if they're not if they're not congruent with the intent of the initiative. Their regulations can be struck. But it's basically going to be you. The same thing that's pushing this forward will be the same thing that guarantees the outcome.